in the icy wilderness of the Arctic, where the frozen silence reigns supreme, a stark and harrowing tale unfolds. Amid the vast expanse of ice and snow, we encounter an unthinkable sight, a majestic polar bear, nature's formidable predator, reduced to a grotesque spectacle of suffering. Its once pristine white fur is marred by a ghastly wound, a festering and pulsating abyss that defies the sanctity of its wild existence. This horrific sight isn't just a testament to the bear's struggle for survival. It is a gateway into a world of dark and parasitic horror. This is the story of a barnacle infestation, a macabre, an unrelenting force that preys upon the unwitting and the strong alike. As the camera zooms in, the details of the wound come into horrifying clarity. The polar bear's flesh is torn and raw, an open invitation to the opportunistic barnacles that have taken root within. These small, seemingly innocuous crustaceans are far from harmless. They latch onto the bear's flesh with an insidious grip, feeding off its blood and tissue, turning what should have been a simple scrape into a gaping, infected chasm. The bear's agony is palpable, each step a torment, each breath a struggle. Barnacles, known for their affinity to marine environments, have a dark side that often goes unnoticed. These parasitic creatures thrive in harsh conditions, attaching themselves to anything they can find, rocks, ships, and even the very flesh of marine animals. When a barnacle finds its way onto a polar bear, it is as if nature itself has orchestrated a cruel symphony of suffering. The barnacle's sharp, chitinous plates slice into the bear's skin, creating wounds that become breeding grounds for infection and decay. The bear is left defenseless against the relentless assault, its body becoming a living, breathing host for a colony of parasites. The camera shifts to a close-up of the barnacle infestation, revealing the intricate details of this parasitic nightmare. The barnacles, with their hardened shells and spindly legs, are grotesque in their appearance. They dig deep into the bear's flesh, anchoring themselves firmly as they siphon off the nutrients they need to survive. The bear's immune system fights back, but it is a losing battle. The barnacles multiply, spreading their infestation like a disease. Turning in the heart of the Australian bush, a kangaroo hops uneasily, her powerful legs carrying her body through the dense foliage. But something is terribly wrong. As she moves cautiously, the viewer is drawn in, heart racing with a mixture of intrigue and dread, for a horrific sight soon comes into view. At first glance, one might think it merely an unfortunate accident, a deep, gaping wound that looks almost as if the skin has been grotesquely peeled back. Yet, as we draw closer, the truth reveals itself. A colony of bees, indignant and buzzing, has laid claim to her body, turning this gentle creature into a grotesque hive of horror. This shocking scene invites us to explore the unsettling intersection between nature's beauty and its dark, predatory side. The wound is not merely a scratch or scrape. It is a dark, festering mass that seems to pulsate with life. Around the edges, the flesh is red and swollen, an unwelcome mat for the thousands of bees that have set up residence. Each bee, a tiny warrior in its own right, aims to defend its domain, mercilessly stinging anyone who dares come too close. Their fuzzy bodies, once symbols of the vital role they play in pollination and sustainability, have transformed into agents of pain and chaos. The kangaroo, once a proud emblem of the wild, has become a living testament to suffering, a sad reminder of how quickly nature can turn on itself. This infestation serves as a chilling example of bees behaving not as benevolent pollinators, but as ruthless colonizers. The wound caused by the initial sting has entered a vicious cycle, one that traps the kangaroo in agony. Wherever there is damage, bees find a way in, transforming her body into a hive of activity. With a unique blend of pheromones, these bees signal the arrival of more and more of their kin, each one eager to contribute to the escalating swarm. The pain cries of the kangaroo can only echo through the still brush, as bees continue to multiply, feeding on her flesh as if it were a sweet banquet laid out before them. It's here that the dark magic of nature is revealed, a delicate balance between life and death disturbed by the slightest miscalculation. In this grim narrative, we explore the dark symbiosis at play. An innocent scratch from an unknown source. The claw of another animal, the jagged edge of a thorn, has transformed into a feast for a colony, exploiting the kangaroos suffering for their own gain. And yet, in studying this infestation, we can't help but appreciate the cooperation among these tiny creatures. They work tirelessly, each obeying the instinctual drive that binds them to their hive. regardless of the suffering it may cause to a large. In the desolate heart of the desert, where the sun scorches the sand and life clings to the margins, we meet an unsuspecting inhabitant, the humble camel. Yet, this isn't just any camel. This creature bears the burden of a horrific honeycomb wound, a grotesque testament to the harsh realities of survival in the wild. As we peer closer, witnessing the unsettling side of this malady, we delve into a world both chilling and fascinating, a narrative woven through nature's tapestry of life, death, and the relentless quest for survival. The wound, resembling a dark, festering hive, is not merely a scar. It is a portal to the hidden horrors of parasitic infestation, where tiny monsters cling to the flesh with a fervor that is both disturbing and awe-inspiring. Within this jagged cavity, a community of under the eerie, dappled canopy of the rainforest, a slow-moving tapir trudges alone, its hulking form barely discernible amidst the shadows. But there's something deeply unsettling about this creature. At first glance, its back seems to be just another patch of rugged hide. Yet, upon closer inspection, one can't help but notice the grotesque scene, an oozing, pus-filled wound, crawling with barnacles, akin to some nightmarish marine atrocity. This festering wound is no ordinary lesion. It's a horrifying testament to the relentless nature of parasitic barnacles. While usually found attached to rocks or ship hulls in marine environments, these tenacious creatures have found an unwilling host in our unsuspecting tapir. The barnacles have burrowed into its flesh, feeding on the tapir's lifeblood, turning it into a living vessel of their macabre feast. Barnacles are crustaceans that typically anchor themselves to solid surfaces using a powerful adhesive. Once latched on, they secrete a hard calcareous shell to protect their delicate bodies. Barnacle larvae can infest a tapir in search of refuge, sometimes through open wounds. Over time, these unwelcome guests grow and multiply, creating a grotesque colony that transforms the tapir into a walking horror show. The tapir's movements become sluggish, burdened by the weight and pain of its uninvited residents. As we delve into the depths of this nightmarish symbiosis, we find that the tapir's condition is a grim reminder of nature's darker aspects. The barnacles latch onto the tapir's flesh, secreting enzymes that dissolve its skin and muscle tissues. This allows the barnacles to embed themselves firmly within the wound. In the dim light of a forgotten stable, a haunting sight captures the eye, a magnificent white horse, its once gleaming coat marred by a gruesome affliction. Intrigued yet unsettled, we lean in closer, drawn by the grotesque spectacle of barnacle infestation that clings to its flesh, transforming beauty into horror. As the camera lingers on the swelling mass on its side, we can't help but wonder, how did this noble creature, seemingly a pillar of grace, fall victim to such an eerie invasion? Barnacles, those small armored crustaceans, are not just the bane of mariners. They have found an unfathomable way to wreak havoc on terrestrial beings as well. The infection begins subtly, often unnoticed until it manifests into a palpable grotesquerie. Barnacles secrete a strong adhesive, which enables them to anchor themselves onto their host, making removal a near impossibility. Once attached, they burrow into the skin, creating painful lesions that widen and fester, leaving behind a trail of raw, bleeding flesh. As the colonies multiply, the white horse's body becomes a twisted tapestry of life, clinging desperately to life as it battles an infestation that could very well be mistaken for a horror film prop. Nature has a peculiar way of reminding us of its dark designs, where beauty exists side by side with decay. Delving deeper into the biology of these creatures, we discover that barnacles possess a fascinating, though revolting,